There is someone in your life right now, someone who dismissed you, who closed the door, who watched you struggle and called it your ceiling. You have been waiting for them to get what they deserve. Stop. Not because you forgive them, because waiting is the weakest move you can make. The powerful do not wait for justice. They engineer outcomes. And what I am about to show you is not revenge. It is something colder than revenge, something that lasts longer, something they will never see coming. You are going to make that person do favors for you, not by forgiving them, not by begging, not by pretending the history between you never happened, by understanding a mechanism inside the human mind that your enemy cannot override, cannot resist, cannot even fully see operating inside them. Machiavelli studied this mechanism. Franklin weaponized it. Jung named the psychology beneath it. By the end of this, you will never look at an enemy the same way again, because they are not your obstacle. They are your unactivated asset. The only question is whether you are cold enough to let them be useful to you. In 1736, Benjamin Franklin had an enemy, a powerful man in the Pennsylvania legislature, someone who opposed him publicly, who worked to undermine him, who made no secret of his contempt. Franklin did not fight him, did not expose him, did not wait for the man to change. He wrote him a letter, asking to borrow a rare book from his personal library. The man sent the book. Franklin returned it with a note of quiet gratitude. The next time they met, the man spoke to Franklin with warmth he had never shown before. They became allies. Franklin recorded this. He wrote, "He that has once done you a kindness will be more ready to do you another than he whom you yourself have obliged." Read that again, slowly. The person who does something for you becomes more willing to help you again than someone you helped first. This is not charm. This is not strategy dressed up as kindness. This is the architecture of the human mind exposed. When a person does something for you, even something small, the mind cannot hold the contradiction of helping someone it dislikes. So, it resolves the contradiction by rewriting the story. Perhaps I do not dislike this person after all. Perhaps I misjudged him. Perhaps he is worth something. Your enemy did not change because you convinced him. He changed because his own actions forced him to. You created the conditions. His mind did the rest. The enemy who helps you once is already halfway to becoming your instrument. The enemy who helps you twice will defend you before you ask. Machiavelli understood something most people refuse to accept. Men are not moved by what is right. They are moved by what they feel they owe. The psychology of debt is the most powerful force in human behavior, more powerful than love, more reliable than loyalty, more durable than fear. Because debt does not require emotion. It operates like a splinter, quiet, persistent, impossible to fully ignore. When someone owes you, even something they gave willingly, there is an open account in their mind. And the human mind cannot rest with open accounts. This is why the favor you ask of your enemy is not weakness. It is the opening of a ledger. You are not asking for help. You are creating architecture. Every small thing they do for you adds to what they believe they have invested in you. And what a man invests in, he protects. Your enemy does not want to have wasted his investment. So he begins, almost without noticing, to root for you. Not because he admires you, because the alternative, that he helped someone worthless, is a judgment he cannot make about himself. His ego does the work you never had to do. Think about that. The man who opposed you most aggressively is now protecting his investment in your success. He did not decide to help you. The mechanism decided for him, and he will never know the difference. Who has been managing you without your knowledge? So how do you use this? Not by begging, not by performing vulnerability, not by pretending the history between you never happened. The ask must be specific, small enough that refusing feels petty, real enough that giving it costs something. It must be something only they can give. Their knowledge, their connection, their opinion, their access. Not something anyone could provide. Something unique to them specifically. When you ask your enemy for something unique to them, you are communicating something they feel before they process it. That you see them, that you respect what they carry, that despite everything, you believe they possess something worth seeking. No enemy can fully resist that, because every enemy beneath the opposition believes they deserve to be recognized. You are not lowering yourself by asking. You are handing them the one thing they secretly wanted from you: acknowledgement. Now they are caught. Refuse, and they reveal themselves as petty. Comply, and they take the first step toward becoming your instrument. Either way, you win. Jung wrote, "The most terrifying thing is to accept oneself completely." Your enemy cannot accept the part of himself that wants to be valued by you, so he will perform the valuing instead. And performance done enough times becomes reality. When was the last time you handed someone the thing they needed and made them believe it was their idea to give it back to you? The mistake most people make is expecting this overnight. This is not an event. It is a process. The first favor plants a seed. The second waters it. The third makes it impossible to uproot. By the time your enemy has helped you 3 times, the architecture is complete. He has told himself a story about who you are, and that story includes him as someone who chose to invest in you. He will now protect that investment without instruction. He will correct others who speak poorly of you, because speaking poorly of you now reflects on his own judgment. He will advocate for you in rooms you have never entered, because your success has become, in small measure, his vindication. Nietzsche wrote, "He who has a why to live can bear almost any how." Give your enemy a why to be connected to your success, and he will bear the how of helping you without being asked. The most dangerous man in any room is not the one with the most allies. It is the one who has turned the most former enemies into unwitting instruments, because that man has no real opposition. Only people who have already chosen him, without knowing they made the choice. The person who dismissed you at work, the one who closed the door, the one who told the wrong story about you in the wrong room. They are not your ceiling. They are a door you have not yet learned to open from the inside. Most people burn their enemies. A few endure them. The rarest minds convert them. This is not about being bigger than your anger. It is not about being the better person. It is about being the more intelligent one. The man who burns his enemy loses a resource. The man who converts his enemy gains an instrument. Your enemies are not your problem. They are your unactivated assets. The book of Proverbs says, "When a man's ways please the Lord, he makes even his enemies to be at peace with him." This is not passive. This is the most active thing a man can do. To build something so undeniable that even the opposition becomes a witness to it. Your enemies will pay their debt. Not because you forced them, but because you understood them before they understood themselves. Comment below, "I convert." Not for me, as a contract with the version of you that already knows how to do this. And if you are ready to go deeper into the psychology they were never supposed to show you, you already know what to do.